The biggest board gaming convention in the world, Essen, is coming up in just a few weeks in Germany. So many new games are going to be released. Today, I'm taking a look at my top 10 most anticipated. Hey, it's Jared from Specifically Solo. Let's dive in. So if you don't know, Essen is an even bigger convention than Gen Con, and even more new games come out of Essen than Gen Con. There are so many games to look at there and new stuff to pick up, and what I used to help make this list was the Board Game Geek Essen Spiel preview, which they put out every single year. It is an excellent guide done by Board Game Geek to let you know about every single new game that's going to be released at Essen in October. So how I made this list was I only focused on games that were available for purchase, and of course you have to be able to play it solo, since this is a solo YouTube channel and we focus on solo gaming. And also I only focused on base games for this video too. No expansions in this one, just base games. But let's go ahead and dive in with number 10. So number 10 on the list is a game called Galaxy Postman, and what intrigued me about this one was the artwork just first really stood out to me. It's very unique, it looks very cool, and in this game you are going around and you are basically delivering packages in space. But the interesting thing about this game is that it is a pick up or deliver game, not pick up and deliver. You might have heard of that mechanism before, where you are going around the board picking up various things and then dropping them off at various places for points or resources or money or whatever you are getting from that. Well, this is going to let you choose between the two. You can pick up or you can deliver in this game, and this one of course is set in space. And so what you are doing is you are selecting dice that you're going to have in your dice pool, and there's going to be different tiles that you have on your shuttle board, and those dice are going to activate those tiles, and then you're going to move your shuttle through the galaxy trying to, pick up or deliver these various packages. So I'm very intrigued by this one. I'm hoping it works well solo, because there's not a lot of great of solo pick up and deliver games, so this would be a cool one to be able to add my collection. So number 10, we've got Galaxy Postman. Number 9 on the list is a card game from Mind Clash Games, and this is called Ironwood. And this is a asymmetrical card game for 1 to 2 players, so I feel like it's going to work really well solo. And in this game, it's kind of like your typical, card-driven tactical game where you have your character, you have your cards, all the cards do different effects, things of that nature. So that is not really the intriguing part of this game. What's really intriguing about this is the asymmetry and the asymmetrical characters. They are completely different. The two characters that this box comes with. You could either play as the commander of the Ironclad, and you're trying to lay down foundations of your forges in the outer mountains for that character, or you can also play as the chieftain of the Woodwalkers, and in that, when you're playing as that character, your mission is to locate people's ancient totems through these vision cards. So it sounds really, really intriguing, and also they put a little blurb in there about the solo mode, which I appreciate. They said it features a low upkeep solo mode against the Ironclad or the Woodwalkers. Although both solo opponents work on the same main principles, each of them bears its faction's unique aspects and features. So I love that you will be able to play as whichever character you want, and that the solo mode is going to play as the other character, and it seems like do a pretty good job of imitating that character without adding a lot of rules overhead to play as one character or the other. So I definitely want to check this one out. I love the artwork on this one as well. It looks very cool. I love fast-paced card-driven games. I just did a review of Kenfire Delve Vainglory's Grotto. I really enjoyed that one in terms of a quick playing card game. This looks like it could be more of the same. So number 9 on my list is Ironwood. Number 8 on my most anticipated list for Essen is a game called Black Forest. This is a new Rosenberg game, also designed by Tito Lorenz. And in this, you're going to start out with a very small domain, and you're trying to build up that domain with new buildings and also livestock. You're traveling from village to village to try and have these specialists help you, and those specialists are going to let you collect resources, lay out some new landscape tiles, and build new buildings. And there's different types of buildings in this game. There's buildings that have like an immediate effect, there's ongoing effect, and there's ones that will score you points at the end of the game. And there's also these resource wheels that you will be using to keep track of your different resources and your production. So this is somewhat similar to Glass Road. The resource wheels were used in Glass Road as well, which is another Rosenberg game that I have not played, but I have heard a lot about. And so this one is kind of a continuation of that in a way, but what they're doing in this one is using worker placement, where that one was kind of simultaneous action, selection. So that's the main difference between these two games. Look, Rosenberg is a fantastic designer and, you know, a titan in the industry at this point. So anything that he puts out, I'm going to be taking a look at. And this one just looks really intriguing to me. It doesn't look like it's going to be all that complicated in terms of the rules and how hard it is to set up and get to the table and everything. So that's a plus for me too. So number 8 on the list is Black Forest. Again, a new game coming out at Essen from Uwe Rosenberg and Tito Lorenz. Number 7 is a game that just wrapped up its Kickstarter not too long ago, but they will have copies available at Essen, and that is Minecraft Town from Jelly Jelly Games. And in this one, you are going to earn points by, again, constructing some buildings, building railroad tracks in this game, and also trying to run your minecart transport network. So I love a good route building game. Trains really intrigue me as well, and I love that you can play this solo, and this game only is 4 rounds. All the action takes place simultaneously, which it would happen anyway if you were playing solo. But I really like the design and the look of this one. And you've got to transport your resources to other buildings to be able to, you know, build more stuff. And you're kind of growing as the game goes on. So all of those things are really intriguing to me. I don't know a lot about how the solo mode is going to work for this one, but it looks like a lot of game kind of in a small package, and one that's not going to take too long to play. And it's going to be kind of a nice, you know, maybe 30-45-minute game when you want to do something that's fairly simple. So for all those reasons, I am intrigued and interested in this one. Again, at number 7, this is Minecraft Town. Number 6 on the list is a game called Saltfjord from Aporta Games, and this is set in a Norwegian fishing village, and it's kind of based on Santa Maria, but a little bit different from that. So Santa Maria has a lot of dice drafting in it. That's going to be going on here as well. And they said they've added a lot of variable elements in the setup to kind of help with replayability. So new special abilities and in-game scoring tiles will be coming out every single game. So it's going to add a lot of variety to your gameplay. This is a game that is also only 3 rounds, and there's another dice drafting games. It seems like there's a lot of dice drafting games coming out at Essen this year. There's a lot of them on this list, but that is a mechanism that I really enjoy and think is a lot of fun. So in this one, you're going to activate buildings with your dice and your settlement. Those are going to provide your resources, and you'll send out, you know, your fishing boat. You'll advance along various tech tracks, erect new buildings, and then each player's board shows a grid, and when you draft a die, you activate all your buildings in the row or column corresponding to that die. So if you build more buildings in that row or column, you can activate more buildings. It's kind of like if you've ever played Space Base, which is a game that you can't play solo, but you get these cards and you put them on various numbers corresponding to dice, and then if somebody like rolls an 8, you might be able to use all of your 8 cards if you have like a bunch stacked up there. So it seems like maybe the same thing is kind of going on in this game from Aporta Games. Again, it looks like a pretty simple game. It's only 3 rounds. I don't know a ton about the solo mode at this point, but it does look really good, and I am really intrigued by that dice drafting mechanism, and I really like that aspect of this game, so I will be checking this one out. Number 6 on the list, Saltfjord from Aporta Games. Number 5 here, we are stepping up in complexity a little bit, and that is the new Stefan Feld game from Deep Print Games called Civolution. So this is a Euro game. This also is using dice selection, another one on the list with dice drafting, and you're triggering actions on a tech tree-like structure, and you're trying to figure out how best to use your dice and also put your unique cards into play. So there's lots of different strategies and paths to victory. Each time you play, it's going to be a little bit different. So all of those things are really cool. It seems like it's kind of a civilization type game as well with the name of it, Civolution. I don't know a ton about this game. In fact, there's not a lot of info available on it on BGG right now, but of course Stefan Feld has a great track record in game design, so that intrigues me right there. And I don't have a ton of civilization games, but I do really enjoy that kind of starting from nothing and then building up to something really huge and pretty powerful by the end of the game. So this is one that I want to look at some more. Again, this is Civolution from Stefan Feld and Deep Print Games. Number 4 is another game that was on Kickstarter earlier this year, and it is a solo-only game that's going to be available for purchase at Essen, and that is Conservas. This is from Scott Alms, who's designed a lot of solo games, and so in this one, you are a fishing company, and you basically 10 fish in Spain, and you are responsible for doing the whole process of this, where you are managing your boats that go out, you're catching your fish, you're selling your tinned goods as well. You have special goals that you're trying to achieve every single month. And so in each season of this game, you're starting with a single boat and not a ton of money, and then in each round you'll take fish from a bag and you'll take some back to your facility for tinning while you leave others at sea. So this is a solo bag building game. I really enjoy bag building as a mechanism. I think it's a lot of fun, the randomness of what am I going to draw out of the bag, but also I'm putting more stuff into the bag throughout the course of the game, and I'm getting better stuff to be able to draw out and use. So in order to win this, you have to have a delicate balance between fishing and allowing populations to grow. And so each time you're going to have a different set of objectives. There's also 12 different scenarios in this game, randomized decks of boats and upgrade cards. So every game appears like it will be different. Sometimes that can be a problem in games, especially when you play solo and you're only going against a automa or whatever. If it plays the same every single time, you feel like you've maybe figured out the game after a couple of plays. Seems like this is trying to avoid that problem, if at all possible. Also, the fact that it's a solo only game and is designed just for one player, that is definitely interesting to me. So number 4 on my list is Conservas. Number 3 is a heavier game designed by Game Brewer, and that is called Bone Wars. So in this one, you are playing as a paleontologist in the 1800s, and there was a big rivalry going on between these two different paleontologists during this time, and they're both trying to discover new dinosaurs, and they were stealing each other's workers or destroying each other's bones. So it seems like this could be a pretty intense game. And so in this game, you're going to choose to work for one of those paleontologists, or you might try to work on your own and outdo both of them. So you have action cards in this game, which are going to go into various slots under your player board, and they're multi-use, so you can use them to either activate your team or you can use them to activate your paleontologist. So what I really enjoy about this game is the theme of this one. Man, dinosaurs are just so cool. I know there are some dinosaur games out there, but this one just looks really, really neat. And also I like the action card things as well. And once you get a species card, you add it to the top of your player board, and that gives you like an ongoing bonus depending on how many species cards are already in that specific slot. And then you might get loyalty points for working with one paleontologist versus the other. And then you use that, and at the end of the game, you multiply the number of loyalty you have with each paleontologist with the number of published papers you have to gain victory points. So I think there's some really unique things going on in this game in terms of, do I want to work for these paleontologists? Do I want to try to do this on my own? Do I think I can get enough points if I do this on my own without getting any loyalty from either of them? Or do I really want to be strict to one side and not the other? It just seems like there's a lot of cool stuff going on in this game. Again, I don't know a ton about it. I did read a little bit about the solo mode. There's a great review on BGG from somebody that got to test out the solo mode, and it looks like the solo mode is fairly simple once you know how the game works. It's kind of using a flowchart of actions to determine what it's going to do on its turn, but the reviewer that was on BGG that got to test this out said that it worked really well. It felt like they were playing against an actual opponent, and so all of those things intrigue me about this one. Number 3 on the list is Bone Wars. Number 2 is a new game from Stan Kordonsky. You may know him for Dice Hospital or Endless Winter. He's designing this new one for board and dice, and it's called Minos, Dawn of the Bronze Age. And so in this game, you are the first European civilization. So again, this is another civ game, another building game where you're building cities, you're putting out monuments, you're opening up trade routes, you have a little bit of combat in this game as well. You're researching new stuff so that you can have more actions to do, but you only have 4 rounds to be able to do this. So it seems like this is going to be a game that has a lot of strategy involved in it, but not a lot of time to do kind of everything that you want to do throughout the course of the game. So you're drafting dice again in this game, and you're assigning them to the board, and then with lower value dice, you can secure stronger actions, but higher value dice help you climb up on tracks. So there's really interesting decision space there where you're like, do I take the lower die to basically do something stronger, or do I take the higher one so I can move up on these tracks and maybe not get a lot now, but maybe I'll get more in the future? So then you take your dice in order and you basically use them from highest to lowest and you perform those actions that you've already planned out. So first you kind of plan out exactly what you want to do and how you want to use all of those dice, and then you go through and do those things in sequential order. But you have to really figure out how you can use those best to your advantage, so that maybe something you do early in the round can give you an advantage a little bit later on in the round. So you also have a tableau that you're going to be building out. So each card is going to have an instant effect on it, and then also a triggered reward connected to a specific action or a die value that you can use to make the action more powerful. And then also you'll get victory points for your civilization progress, and that happens twice throughout the course of the game. So I always like when games have like mid-game scoring. I think that's kind of cool, whereas you may do really well in the beginning of the game, but the back half of the game maybe you falter off a little bit. Or maybe it's the reverse. Maybe you didn't start out strong, you didn't do great for that scoring session, but you're able to power up and get better for the last scoring round. So I like when there's variable points for scoring. It feels like you're maybe never totally out of it, even if you're having kind of a bad round or a bad turn or whatever. So a lot of aspects about this one intrigue me. This is Minos, Dawn of the Bronze Age, one I definitely want to pick up from Stan Kordonski, again, published by Board and Dice. And so number one on this list is a really small game. It's not very big at all. It's for 1 to 2 players. It's from Ludonova, and it's called Flatiron. So this is based off of a building that was a big skyscraper in Manhattan. And what it's known for is its triangular shape, reminiscent of an old-fashioned like clothes iron that you would use to, iron your clothes. And they're still designed kind of like this today. So you are basically constructing this building, and you're trying to develop companies by adding them to your personal board, and then that's going to let you perform better and bigger actions on each of the surrounding streets. You're trying to get more points than the solo opponent, obviously, in the solo mode, and then whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. But what I think is really cool about this one is just the way that this is designed. I also really like that it's not that big of a game. It seems like it will play pretty quickly, but it seems like there's a lot of strategy involved for a short kind of experience. The playtime on BGG is listed at 45 minutes. The weight's about 2.4, so not that complicated, but I love the cover of the game. Then I love the components as well. They're just these little discs, but you're using them to stack them on these triangular pieces, cardboard pieces, so that you can build this tower kind of higher up and get it, closer to completion. So all of that stuff is making this feel like a winner for me. I don't know 100% how the solo mode works, but I feel like, again, games that are designed for 1 to 2 players, they usually have a good idea of how to make that efficient and work well for a solo player. Also, right now on BGG, it is recommended best at 1 player, so I feel like this is going to be a really good solo game, where you're going to get to have a lot of great decisions that you're making in a short amount of time and not too complex of a rule set. So I really want to check this one out. I think it looks very cool. I love kind of city building or just building games in general, and this is obviously going to change every time too, because how you build that tower, that Flatiron, is going to be different every single time you play. So there you go. That's my number one on the list, Flatiron from Ludonova, which will be coming out at Essen. So just to recap the top 10 real quick here, at number 10 we had Galaxy Postman. At number 9 on the list was Ironwood. Number 8 was Black Forest. Number 7, Minecraft Town. Number 6, Saltfjord. Number 5, Civolution. Number 4, Conservas. Number 3 was Bone Wars. Number 2 was Minos, Dawn of the Bronze Age. And number 1 was Flatiron. So top 10 most anticipated games that I'm looking forward to coming out at Essen here in just a few weeks. If you've got some games that you are excited for, be sure to leave them in the comments. I want to know about them. I'll add them to my list because I'm always looking for new stuff to play. And if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That definitely helps out. I've got some other solo videos on the channel. If you're new to the channel, I've got a lot of solo reviews, a couple solo playthroughs, and some other lists that I did of my most anticipated games that came out at Gen Con, if you want to check that out. So thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Jared. You've been checking out Specifically Solo.